Okay, so we're going to look at this game with PCLoadletter, which I promised I'd review. Now, I've watched this through a few times, and PC's got first turn. He is going to take Freight Raft with his 3, which is a nice start, gives you trade and authority. It's great. Now, what we did was we have a choice here between Pulverizer and Conversion Yard. Now, I think in hindsight, having watched this a few times, I think with PC taking Freight Raft first, I think Conversion Yard is probably the pick. Now, I took Pulverizer, but Conversion Yard's giving you a solid 4 damage. Pulverizer depends on the row. Yes, we flipped a Transit Nexus, but realistically, Pulverizer's probably going to average about 4 or 5 damage whenever it hits, and Conversion Yard's going to thin your deck, and it's also going to force PCLoadletter to take Light Cruiser. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck behind Conversion Yard just getting value every turn. So that was a mistake. We shouldn't have done that. Now, PC is now going to take Light Cruiser anyway. He did have a 3, so he's on a 3/3. Dealing damage, we take a Recycle Bot and then Frontier Hawk flips, which is usually pretty good. And now we've got quite an expensive row. So we're here, we don't have really any trade in our deck, and PC does. So we move to a 5. So he takes Conversion Yard, which is a bit of a blow, but then we probably weren't grabbing it anyway with a lack of trade. We hawk into a 4, we take Defense Station because we do not want PC marrying those two up, and we flip a Sentinel. So we've got Pulverizer, we're going to be doing some damage next turn, and PC takes the Sentinel because Dockers are great. Now it's worth mentioning here that that's his second Docker he's picked up, so we're mindful that a base or 2 is going to make life really hard for us. Now we've got to discard 1, but there's also a Sentinel on the row, and if he grabs another Sentinel, any green base is just amazing for him, so we feel like we have to take it. So we discard 1 Scout, which we have to. We Pulverize the Hive Queen because he's not near getting Transit Nexus in terms of trade, and we can always grab that in our minds later. We don't scrap because we want to take Sentinel. And we flip a Blob Miner. That's kind of bad news, although he's at the top of the deck. Now, we also, by not scrapping, we kept a square deck, which would have been useful if we hadn't forgotten that we have a Frontier Hawk in our deck, and also the potential to draw from a green ally, which is unlikely, but it turns out it happened. So PC takes his Blob Miner, which we like taking. It's a good card, it's row control, and he definitely wants to get rid of those expensive cards. It's at the top of his deck, so he's not going to see it for a while, maybe even several hands, but he takes another Docker. So you've now got 3 Dockers, all in different colours, and we just need to be a bit careful here. So we can't not Pulverize a big one here. We Pulverize Nano, we draw, we get some damage going, and it's all bases. So us being in the not much trade game, this is a bad thing for us. PC's going to take the green base because that's going to give him a bit more trade, give him damage with the Sentinel, possibly Dock. I mean, any base is good for him now apart from a red one. And Conversion Yard already a good base in and of itself. So we get Defense Station, we've got 3, we can't buy anything, and we choose not to. We're focused on killing him as fast as we can. PC drops his Conversion Yard, he scraps the Transit Nexus, which means we can't Pulverize it, which is fair enough, gets rid of our Defense Station, grabs a yellow base for his Frontier, for his Imperial Defender. And all we can really do is discard, draw, scrap, get the Sentinel, and we take Defense Bot. I'm not 100% sure I like that, but we're meant to be applying pressure, not trying to out-scrap him. So PC picks up a Stinger, picks up the Rocket, and then grabs a yellow base, makes it more likely that his Imperial Defender is going to dock. We have just a Pulverizer, 3 trade, kind of locked out apart from the Cargo Craft, which we take. Pulverize the Imperial Cruiser, probably should have pulverized a 5 there. I don't think Warpgate Cruiser is as dangerous as the Jamming Terminal or the Azure 4 to us, reminding ourselves that he's got Dockers. And top of the deck sees no damage, which is bad news because down comes the Nesting Ground. He takes jamming terminal, which is great. Our 6 can't really do anything about it and buy something. It's not good enough for Demolisher, so we take a farm ship to try and cycle. We've got the Scrappers. It's got 4 damage attached to it, which is great. We take a green base because we don't want him to have it, and it's also something for us to use for our Sentinel Docker. So now PC's going to grab his Imperial Defender. He's going to get 5. He's going to grab Azure 4. And all of a sudden we're starting to look like he's going to rescue himself from behind a base wall if he can get through. We're going to pulverize Demolisher, spawning worm drops, and we're trying to kill him as fast as we can. Unfortunately, so here we have in our hand enough, bearing in mind what's on the top of our deck, we have enough to kill him, and the only thing that stops this happening here is an outpost or a discard 2. Lo and behold, that's what PC gets. So we are a little unfortunate here, perhaps. He does take Spawning Worm, which is always a good pickup with the amount of green he's got in his deck. So we're forced to discard our 2 scouts, which means when we hawk, we're dropping the Builder-Bot. Builder-Bot with a defense station would have been enough to get us that lethal, because no outposts, but alas, we have to discard it. We're missing out on the damage we need to kill him, so we have to take out a base and hit him down to 9. And this is where it all goes wrong, because our next hand is garbage. He doesn't have enough to kill us, but he does get himself up to 12, and there we go. We're just, nothing's happening here. Living on air, and in he goes with the base wall. So he was unlucky in the sense that he did bottom all of his outposts, so it's not outrageous that he got his discard 2 either. And there we go. Good game, PC. We are defeated.